Welcome to the Mavens Do It Better podcast. And now, your host, Heather Newman.
Hello, everyone. This is Heather Newman with your Mavens Do It Better podcast. I am sitting here in San Juan, Puerto Rico, with the lovely and talented Melissa Hubbard. She is a Microsoft MVP. She's an author, community speaker, and blogger, and she and I are here today, along with a lot of other folks from our SharePoint community. We're going to do a diversity panel here in a little while, and I thought Miss Maven, I'd get her on Teams and Flow and all sorts of good things. So say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Heather. Thank you for having me. I couldn't pick a better place to do this podcast in beautiful San Juan. It's really exciting to be here. The energy has been great. We have a great turnout. People are excited. People are seeing tools for the first time, and literally in the middle of Erica Tully's session burst out, "This is awesome!" about Microsoft Teams. It was really cool.
That's so cool. Well, so you're an MVP in what categories?
I am an MVP in the business applications category. I specialize in Microsoft Flow. So as soon as Microsoft Flow became available, I was using it and one of the very first speakers on it.
Cool.
So I started speaking at user groups and then SharePoint Saturdays, and then, I've moved on to some other conferences and online stuff. But I became one of the first 5 Microsoft Flow MVPs.
That's
and I'm
awesome.
So happy that we just got 2 more female Flow MVPs. So now I have Flow sisters because we're like a really tight-knit family of Flow MVPs. So I'm super happy.
That's exciting. I remember when you first came out and started doing it. It was very cool. So, you're a great speaker. So I love seeing you out there doing all the great community stuff. That's pretty awesome. So I know that people have been asking me, and I can't find the answer to this question, was there a code name for Microsoft Flow?
So you're the second person to ask me. I run a Flow user group. The first one in the United States is located in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
My speaker, Chrissy, she asked me the same thing, and I don't know. I need to ask the product group about the code name.
I asked Jennifer Piercy, and I asked a couple of different people, and I couldn't get an answer as well. Because usually there's a code name.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I just found out about the code name thing. I'm getting it. I'm still kind of the new kid. I'm finding out these little secrets here.
Right, that's great. And so talk about, you just authored a book. Congratulations. That's a huge, wonderful thing. So talk about your book a little bit.
So it was a huge amount of work that goes into a book. Really excited that we finished it. I co-authored it with my friend Matthew Bailey. So it's an end user guide to Microsoft Teams, with also chapters about governance and user adoption for business owners.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, really fun to do because we kept discovering more and more things about the product. To talk about scope creep on a project, it was, we need to talk about this. But yes, it's available on Amazon.com.
And what's the exact name?
It's called Mastering Microsoft Teams.
Yes, right. That's
Thanks.
Great.
That's an important piece of information to mention the name of the book.
For sure. So how long did it take you to write and put together, do you think?
So we started in December planning. December of last year, planning the chapters, getting the contract signed with the publisher, A-Press, and that even just writing out the introduction to the book and stuff, that takes time. So I would say, December, January, February, March, May. It was about 7 months it took. Okay. Yeah. And then, we still are marketing and things like that, writing blog posts, and the product has updated, since Ignite happened and announcements were made. So we're trying to add blog posts and kind of supplement that way since there are a few changes.
I think, but it's nice to have a base level, and I think people still there's some people who love a hard copy book that they can dog ear and put, sticky notes in and highlight and all that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Because people have asked me, what do you think, are books our book's dead or whatever. And I don't know. I don't think they are. I think that it gives you a baseline for that moment in time that you add to, right?
I mean, I've been really happy and surprised by how many people have purchased it. And I've had people reach out to me and say, hey, I was at my client and someone had your book. So I do think, people do still want a book.
Yeah. Any guidance for somebody who's going to write a book? Anything like, you're like, oh my gosh, you must do this or must not do that kind of thing?
My guidance would be, first make your decision on whether you want to use a publisher or not. And just know that with the publisher, it's great to have someone behind you, backing you on marketing and doing those types of things, but you're going to be on a strict schedule. Right. So if you want to just write when you're feeling creative or, so for me, I struggled because my creativity in writing comes in kind of big bursts, and then I go on streaks where I just have writer's block. Right. So trying to stick to the schedule from a publisher can be tough. So just make sure you think about that. And then I liked using Microsoft Planner to plan my chapters, and then you can kind of drag them around when you decide when, actually this topic should be under here on this chapter. So I did it like that. I think it worked good.
I think that's a session. You should create a session about that.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So, no, I think that maybe that's a session.
Yeah, that's something to think about.
On how to, because I think sort of alternate, like using Teams. So I've been doing a session on, how to use it to become an event maven, and using it to plan an event, Teams and Planner together, because I feel like sometimes, like, I think it's a good question for talking about Teams. It's like when Teams gets deployed and, they're like, here, and all of a sudden people are like, oh, what is this, and so the guidance on, here's a project or here's a thing to take care of inside of Teams, so an event is sort of a logical way to kind of get people used to Teams. And I guess for people who are writing a book, maybe for using Planner, I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, it's exactly. If you have a project that you're going to start and hopefully finish, Teams is a great way to get up and running with that and keep everything in one location, all of your conversations, all of your content, files, etc. So yeah, I think an event is a easy to understand thing that you can see the value really quickly.
Right. Yeah, and even on the book level, if it's a book or even an ebook or a white paper or something like that, using Planner for a small project like that could be really useful.
Yes, Matthew, my co-author, we were living in Teams working on our book together. I think we would have totally driven each other nuts if we weren't in Teams because the amount of emails and in discussions, and we're both busy. We can't talk on the phone all the time. I've got a 3-year-old running around screaming. Being in Teams and our decision points are there. So it's like, oh no, actually we said we were gonna write about this in this section, and it's all right there, and we can, work together.
That's cool. So I guess diverting a little bit, and you mentioned your 3-year-old, and obviously dealing with having a family and being in tech and being a gal in tech and all of that. And you and I've been talking about diversity about this panel and stuff. I guess, where did you get your start in IT?
So I started in IT while I was in college. I worked for the school help desk. Oh, cool. And then I've always been really lucky meeting really awesome mentors, I guess that would be the right word for it. Just other women who have taken interest in and seen my value and want to work with me. And so I was just part-time doing like work study in the help desk, but I really wanted to get full-time and learn more. And so one of the women there, Tatiana, I always say her name wrong. I'm just going to call her Tatiana.
Awesome Tatiana.
Yes, awesome Tatiana. She taught me everything and helped me get hired full-time. Cool. I took a step away from IT for a while I ran a child protection and juvenile parole office in rural Nebraska. And then I started using SharePoint there, and then worked my way to Washington, D.C. as a consultant in SharePoint, and now I'm consulting in SharePoint and Office 365.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. I guess, what I like to know about sort of what moves us and what excites us about what we do. And, for me, like, I love spreading joy and connecting people. That's my thing, and I talk about that a lot. And sort of what sparks you? What gets you out of bed in the morning?
I like to think that when other people see me speaking and blogging and writing and doing things like this podcast, sure, that it lets them know, I could do this too. Or if there's something I think I could do, but maybe I'm a little nervous about it, right. Like, look at her, she's doing it. And so and people approach me and ask me, what do you think? Should I try to speak? And it's always, yes, you should. Yeah, right. If you're even thinking about it, yes, you should. And I get emotional talking about it, because sometimes people come up to me and they're like, you know what, I saw that you were posting stuff about Microsoft Flow, and I decided maybe I would build a flow. I've had people email me like screenshots. Yeah. I built my flow. And that's really what motivates me. Sometimes it's easy to lose track of your motivation. So it's, you always have to try to remember really why you're here doing what you're doing, or, you can get tired. We all have our times where we get down and stressed and forget, but, I should get that tattooed or something on my arm, why I do what I do.
Yeah, I think it is easy to forget. There's a lot of noise in the world, and we get caught up in things, and there's, a little bit of fear, I think, in just putting yourself out there. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of goodness that comes from it, but there's also a lot of, I don't know, haters or just negativity sometimes too. And because you're saying, should I do this? Is it okay? And and then and then like you hear nothing, or what I mean?
Right.
And you're like, caw, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah.
What's up? And so I think, to your point, I think that remembering for all of us that, like, if you see something you like or something that moves you, tell people. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's super important, and we don't do that enough for each other. You know what I mean? So, yeah, go ahead.
One other thing that I like to tell people is that it's okay to be afraid and still do it. I mean, I'm always afraid before I go speak or I'm doing something new. You just have to take yourself out of that comfort zone and not let that initial fear of something keep you from doing it. I really feel strongly about that, and if anyone's nervous about speaking, for me, that has never gone away. It's just part of it. It's like part of the rush of it. You get nervous, then you kill it. You do awesome. Then it's you get to feel that and then you see people connecting with you and learning, and it's really amazing.
Yeah. I mean, in the theater, we call that stage fright, right? There's that moment of like, oh my goodness, and then you go on stage and you rock it out, Yeah, no, that's very cool. We've been doing a lot of like Ignite and all of that, and I know that you're doing a lot of community events and blogging and stuff. What's up next for you? Where are you going, or where do you hope to be going?
So I have SharePoint Saturday DC is coming up. Cool. Right. Yep. And so I'm from the DC area, so that's always nice to have your local crowd there. We have SharePoint Saturday Virginia Beach as well. That's, I believe, the first SharePoint Saturday, I think. Is it? Okay. I think so, yeah. And it's been going on over 10 years. This is, I think, the 11th year maybe. Cool. So I love that event. I hope to be part of the Ignite tour. I think that would be pretty awesome. Yeah, right. That looks really exciting. It's a lot of different countries that Ignite's going to, and so for the people who aren't able to travel to Orlando, it gives them an opportunity to get a little taste of it. So hopefully I'll be part of that. Also, my Flow user group will be doing our second
Oh,
meeting.
great.
Yeah, so we're getting that put together, and that will be in January as well. So that's
cool.
That's just some of the things. I'm sure some stuff will come up as it
Yeah.
always does.
Right.
But
Yeah. And I love it that you're, building teams for customers. I mean, you're really connected to customers through what you've been doing, right? So you're getting in there and helping people really understand, like if they have SharePoint already, have Office 365, and now they're turning on Teams, and that's a lot of, like, but with Flow and Teams, that's a lot of where your expertise lies, and really just like getting in there and like getting people as an end user rocking it out as a team. Yeah.
yes, that's exactly what I've been doing. Meeting with organizations who either are thinking about going to Office 365 or already have, but just know that they aren't utilizing it to their fullest potential, helping drive the conversation of what tool do I do for what, helping them plan how they will structure their teams. That's a big question a lot of organizations have, like when do you get a team?
Right.
When do you get a channel? And that's different, depending on the requirements and the user base. So that's been really enjoyable because Teams is a tool you'll see the value quickly.
Yeah.
You're not going to turn it on, and I've never heard anyone turn it on and start using it and be like, oh yeah, well, we used it a couple times and we don't use it anymore. Like you hear about other things. With Teams, it's like, oh yeah, now I need to figure out how to change the app settings because it's going off too much from people, using it so much.
Right. That's super cool. Yeah, I think I've always been struck when we met in New York. I love, you're so cheerful, and no, you are, and so passionate, and I really enjoyed our conversations that we've had over the last bit, getting to know each other a little bit more, and it's really cool to see you as a woman who is older than you, not by a ton, but by some, just watching your career explode, and the author, and all that stuff, and you speak more and more, it's really nice to see, and I really enjoy you in that way, so it's good.
I'm not that cheerful. This is resting smile
face.
No, having examples like you and other strong women in the community has really, really helped me. Like, again, watching other people do it and be successful and like, okay, maybe I could do this too.
Yeah, no, and I think that's something about our community that's cool. So thank you for that one. And I think that, some of the things we're going to talk about today and that we talk about is, how do we build, there's a piece of the diversity and inclusion that is all that, is about gender and it is about women. And, and I think that there is something about us, one, building male allies that we talk about and making sure, in mentorships and all of that. And we need men to help us to, do many things, in our communities. But we also need to really be helping each other and binding together to help each other. And, we talked a little bit about, some of the fear and toxicity stuff. And I gave a presentation about that. And it's like, sometimes we can be our own worst enemies too.
That is true. I really have been really lucky because I've talked to a lot of women and, for a lot of people, it hasn't been the same as it for me, but I've always had really strong female allies and men too. But when I think about who's opened the door for me for different things, I've just had some really amazing women and still do. So it's
absolutely. No, I think our SharePoint community, our Microsoft community has been really great for that, and I think the pushing through Satya and with his messages and like seeing those messages during keynotes and having them be repeated over and over again. It's like the message is clear. It's like, yes, it's about women, but it's, how do we build diversity and inclusion and intersectionality throughout everything we do? And let's think about it and talk about it and make sure we all understand what that means.
Yes.
And that it's not just, we're all learning, and we're all trying to do our best and make it better. And all of that.
I think it's knowing that you should be looking inside and realizing stereotypes that you might have as you're working with other people. I think we all have those. To say that you don't, isn't true, but it's what you do with those. Are you thinking about that and realizing it when you're through your workday and having conversations with different people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, absolutely. You're super on point on that one. So what's your favorite book?
My favorite book,
besides the one that you just wrote.
So I guess I like Pride and Prejudice.
Oh,
yeah, I'm a go classic. Yeah. I'm not a huge reader, to be honest. Okay. I'm more of an article news reader, but when I do read,
Who do you like in either community or the world or whatever? Like, I guess, what's a place do you go to find inspiration or like stuff that you like love that you're like, I go here every day to go look for something? Is like Medium, or is it CNN, or is it a combination of stuff? Or? Okay,
so I'm pretty much addicted to Twitter.
Okay,
and so I only follow people that I find motivational and read articles that other people are posting. Okay. And also on LinkedIn, I've been using LinkedIn Learning. I like that. Yeah. There's like free courses, stuff like that. And again, our Flow MVP group is so close knit. So when we share each other's blogs and read those, those get kind of nerdy and technical quick. But yeah, I also, I have other interests, obviously, besides IT. Yeah. I'm a retired Muay Thai fighter.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I like to go to the gym and read fitness articles, things like that. So.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. Well, I can't wait for our session.
And
I know. Yeah, thank you for being on my podcast. So
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, that was Mavens Do It Better. We're gonna sign off and have a lovely, lovely day. Cheers.
Bye.
The original music on this podcast was created by Jesse Case.